Hello, welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino. Our guest today is Tom Grandy of Tom Grandy and Associates. Tom has over 30 years of experience in industry and small business. He's worked as the general manager of a service company, the regional director of company development for the Dial One franchise, and is the founder and president of Grandy and Associates. The vision of Grandy and Associates is to teach contractors how to run profitable businesses. Tom accomplishes his mission through business training boot camps, seminars, one-on-one consulting, and educational materials. Tom has also developed the industry's leading software modeling program called Labor Pricing for a Profit with Cash Flow Projections, and is the founder of the subscription web-based series Small Business University Audio Series. Tom writes articles for numerous trade publications in the United States and Canada. And he is a frequent presenter at national and state conventions for Aquatech, Florida Pool and Spa Association, and ComfortTech, just to name a few. In addition to trade associations, Grandy and Associates does extensive business training for contractors through wholesalers, distributors, and manufacturers across the country, including many national franchises. Tom, thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Diane. Appreciate that.
So, Tom, Grandy and Associates offers training for contractors, and tell us why you think that's important for contractors.
Well, the general public doesn't realize it, but probably 90, maybe as high as 95% of every owner in the trades industry today used to be a technician working for somebody else. So they're really, really good at their trade per se, but they don't understand the business side of the business. And what happens is the good ones grow, and they literally grow themselves right out of business.
Now, you've worked with contractors for about 24 years now, and it seems like they just start up and then they go out of business after just a few years. Tell us what makes that happen? Yeah,
there's a continuous rollover in that whole process. Again, the root problem is they're technicians, not business people. And there's two things that put contractors out of business within the trades industry. Number one is improper labor pricing. They start out charging what everybody else charges, and that works fine when they don't have any overhead, and now they get bigger and bigger with lots of trucks and lots of buildings, and they don't know how to price themselves properly. So the two things that put most contractors out of business is improper labor pricing, and the other is cash flow, because every trade goes up and down like this in terms of their work during the year, and even if they're priced right, cash flow can put them out of business.
Or the lack thereof.
Or the lack thereof.
Now, some say that the contracting industry seems to have a reputation for a lack of time management. In other words, they don't show up on time always. Tell me, do you address that in your seminars, and how do you do that?
Yeah, we do. It's amazing, Diane. You talk to 100 customers, the number one complaint from customers in every single trade across this nation is that contractors don't show up on time. And what I tell them during the program, hey, if you'll do three things, do quality work, do what you said you're going to do, when you said you were going to do it, translated, show up on time, they'd have more work than they can handle. And we try to teach them to do that, but again, we're working with a fraction of a huge industry out there. So those who begin to do that, guess what? They grow and prosper.
Now, you teach a lot about flat rate pricing. Now, tell us a little bit about that. Is that really good for a customer?
Yeah, flat rate pricing it's just like the automotive industry. If you remember years and years ago, you would go down there and you get your car tuned up, and it might cost you $25 one time, $65 the next time, because it was based on how long it took the technician. Well, now in the automotive industry, you get a tune-up, it's the same price for everybody. It's what they call flat rate pricing. So the customer never has to deal with how much they're being charged per hour. They deal with only what the price is. So it's good for the customer in the sense that in the past, the number one concern of the customer is, gee, how long is the guy going to be here? Is he the top technician, the slowest technician? You know, how long? Because all that translates into how long he's going to be there and how much it's going to cost me. The beauty of flat rate from the consumer standpoint is before they even begin the work, the price is looked up in the book. They're given a firm price. If they're for 2 hours or 2 days or 6 trips back to the shop, the customer pays the set price. So now they know what the price is going to be. They don't have to watch the technician, worry about how long he's going to be there, whether he's fast or slow. They can deal with a firm price.
Speaking of pricing, you know as well as I do that pricing varies widely from contractor to contractor for both service calls and equipment. Tell us, what advice would you give to a consumer about that?
That's a good question, and there is a huge variation in price, and the tendency of people is to go with the lowest price, which generally is not the right thing to do. Different contractors have more buildings, less people, more overhead costs, so their pricing is going to be different. So when it comes to selecting a contractor, don't do it on price. check his reputation in town, talk to other people that have worked with him. If they have Angie's List and things like that, check it out on there, and go more with the quality of the contractor as opposed to the price. Because if you go with a low price, chances are you're going to do a poor job, you'll have to hire somebody else to come in, and it'll wind up costing you more than it did to begin with.
What would you advise, or what advice would you give a brand new contractor just getting into the business today?
My advice to a brand new contractor is get some business training. We have a 3-day program called the Basic Business Boot Camp. It takes them through every aspect of labor pricing, cash flow, budgeting, anything having to do with the business side of the business. If you looked at the top 10% of profitable companies in any trade out there today, almost all of them are run by people who understand the business side of the business and may or may not understand the technical side. So it's good to go in with your eyes wide open, take some business courses even before. And I'm not talking about college courses because they won't tell you that. But courses like ours, and there's some others out there like that, you know, go through some of those so your pricing is right, so you get out there and you're making a profit at what you're doing.
You've been in business, like I said, for 24 years. Tell me what's been the secret to your success.
Well, I like to think it's because we do quality work like everybody else does. But every workshop we put on, whether it's a 1-day program or whether it's a 3-day boot camp, is always done from a workshop standpoint. What that means is they have a list of information they bring with them. They go through the whole process while they're there, and before they leave class, they've got the answer. So many programs you go to today, you sit through a great class, you get the rah-rah, and then you got to go home and do something about it. Well, when you get home, what happens? Well, gee, the fires start up. You got to put this out and go do that, and you never get around to finishing it. So the beauty of our programs is they're all workshop-oriented, and when they're through, they've got the answer before they leave.
Tell me, how has the recent downturn in the economy affected the contractors that you've been working with?
It's affected them greatly. There are a huge number of contractors who did just new construction work. For the most part, they're in one of two categories. They're out of business today because that work has gone. Or what's happened to a lot of them is they didn't do service work before, so they moved into the service market. Well, they don't really understand the service side of the business, and they not only don't do a good job, but they mess up the rest of the industry for people who do a good job.
And tell me, what business lesson have you learned over the past year?
What business lesson have I learned over the past year? That's a good one. Persistence, planting seeds, not looking at the economy, not looking at your competition. I heard a story when I first got into, actually it was in a magazine the first year I was in business, and it talked about this guy who made custom-made tennis shoes. And that was back when a typical tennis shoe was 10 or 15 bucks. Well, he made custom ones for the pros, and he was charging like 150 bucks a piece, and which is way, way more than anybody else. He had a long article on his company, but he summed it up with one statement at the end, and I'll always remember it. He said, I don't care what kind of business you're in, as long as you're the best at what you do, you'll be profitable.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for that good advice, and thank you for taking time out of your seminar today to be with us.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you. We've been talking with Tom Grandy of Tom Grandy & Associates. I'm Diane Bogino. Thank you for joining us on Business Notes. Our objective is to bring you information you can bank on.